Hello, it's Scott here. How you doing? I just thought I'd come on for a few minutes and say a few words about International Men's Day. Now, I'm not that keen on. If you look hard enough, every day is an international something day. But I think in the last few months, us men haven't been getting quite the attention that we like. Maybe that's a good thing, but that's how I feel. I know, poor me. But I thought I'd come on and just say a few things about, how it might feel, at least how I feel as a man today. One of the things that means a lot to me is time, and you may have seen me using these things. I've got them all over the house because I have this thing about, thinking about how short time is, and to make sure that everything that we do is time well spent. And I think right now, in the middle of the pandemic, it's probably more important now than it's ever been to think about how do I use this time? What do I do with it? But I've seen a lot of people around me, and I include myself in this. I had a terrible day yesterday. I mean, I was so down in the dumps. I just couldn't be bothered with anything. But as one of my teachers once said to me, he's a mindfulness teacher. He said, most of the difficult times we experience are because of things that we give to ourselves. We cause most of these difficult times. Now, I know right now there are lots of things happening in our environments that means that it's harder to be a human, never mind a man, right now than it's been for a long time. But let's not kid ourselves. The majority of us are still healthy. The majority of us have still got food on the table. I've got concerns. My profession has collapsed. The events profession has collapsed, and we're all having to change. And this is one of the things I've been doing because of that change. But I do think that there is something in it about taking responsibility for the situation we're in. Responsibility doesn't feed you, though. You can't go into Tesco's and say, "Do you take responsibility?" That doesn't work. So I'm not, not speaking from the Blarney Stone here. I understand there is more to it, but I think part of it is that we need to realise that a lot of how we feel is down to us. So there's two things I think we can all be thinking about at the moment, and that is, well, three things. One is, is what you're doing time well spent? If you are at home, if you have been furloughed, are you spending the time at home well? Are you just sitting binge watching Netflix or I'm a Celebrity, or what are you doing with that time? And if you're not spending it as well as you know you should, let me give you a suggestion. I don't buy into a lot of these programs. They're everywhere just now, 10 steps to success, learn from the greats what it's like to be a master practitioner, or 5 steps to greatness. I don't buy that stuff, and in fact, I think most of the time it's disingenuous. They get called entrepreneurs for a reason, but I do think that there is something we can do to help ourselves, and it seems slightly odd, but do you know the thing that is very rarely spoken about when you read any of these books, or you read any of these programs, or you go to a leadership development program at work? And I'm guilty of this, so I'm not throwing stones at anybody here, but something that is so underestimated, and that is luck. Luck. Now, it's hard to research. It's hard for me to say, 50% of success is down to luck, or 70%. But I tell you what it is. It's a lot. Luck really matters. Now, I don't want to get into the debate here at the moment about privilege and about whether or not your a meritocracy has got you to where you are. I don't want to get into that debate. We're all human beings. Even men are human beings. And I want to share a couple of things about how I think we can get luckier. Now, they say the more I practice, the luckier I get, but that's probably true. But I think there's something else you can do, and it's something I have always known, but never really did it. Never did it very well for a long part of my life. But I now think I do it reasonably well, and that is reading. Warren Buffett says you can read your way out of any problem. And I think that's probably true. But again, what you read is something that is quite difficult sometimes. Deciding what to read is sometimes quite difficult. And I used to read a lot of self-help books. I used to read a lot of biographies of successful people. But I realized some years ago that misses something. That misses the fact that actually more people don't get to those positions. More people don't get the millionaire lifestyle. And it started to make me curious. And I told the story about Abraham Wald in a video recently. He was an engineer who, during the Second World War, wondered why aircraft were coming back from bombing missions and they had bullet holes at certain points and not at others. And his colleagues were putting metal plates over where the bullets were hitting. And he went, no. Put the metal plates, put the armor where the bullets aren't hitting. Because the ones that didn't make it home, the aircraft that didn't make it home with the people inside them, they got hit in those areas, the cockpit, etc. And those are the people who died. Those are the people who didn't make it back home. And I think that has a message for us all. It's called survivorship bias. Doesn't matter about that. But I think there's a lesson in that. And I think we're often fooled by other people's success and trying to mirror it, copy it, model it. I just don't think that's helpful. So what do I suggest? Well, read your pulp fiction, read your favorite horror book, Stephen King, read your James Patterson books, but look within those stories for how others experience the world. Because, I do believe that stories are magical because they allow us to see how others are experiencing the world. As I said, they allow us to have empathy for other people. So when the government is spouting data and telling us to do things and all the rest of it, that's fine. I have no issue with that, really. I have some issues with it, but not huge issues with it. I have more issues about how it's done rather than what they're saying. But listen to the stories. And I know BBC Radio 5 Live have done quite a good job of this. They've been inviting people in to talk about how they're experiencing the current environment. And if you listen to those stories, that gives you an idea of just how lucky you maybe are. But let's help you get more lucky. What can you do? Well, I think storytelling is one of the ways. And I think, not only telling your own story, but listening to other stories is one of the ways we can get through the current environment much better, whether you're a man or a woman, quite frankly. And so I'm addicted to stories. And I believe that somebody said, a chap called Riddle said that stories are an empathy engine. I believe that as well. I think they create that opportunity for us to understand each other much better. So read the stories. Don't bother about highfalutin books. Just read the stories. If you need help, if you need wisdom, look in the stories for that help and for that wisdom. Now, some of the books that I'm reading at the moment are probably more about the inner work, about how we feel inside rather than how we project outside. And I'm going to give you a couple of books as recommendations here, just to maybe think about picking them up and reading them. The first one here is quite an appropriate title, I think. It's called When Things Fall Apart. And this is written by Pema Chodron. It's a very famous book, mainly in the sort of the Buddhist literature. But this isn't a book full of, crystals and nonsense. This is a book full of wisdom. And let me just read you one little bit here. It's from chapter 22. And the chapter's title is The Path is the Goal. I think there's enough in that quote to think about even going in without going in even any further. But what she says here is, if there's any possibility of enlightenment, it is right now, not at some future point or time. Now is the time. I think that sums it up. And for me, it's more about appreciating what we've got at the moment, even although it's really difficult. And there's a second book by another woman that I'd like to recommend. And this is by a lady called Kerry Smith. And this one is called How to Be an Explorer of the World. Now, what this is about is just recognizing what you have, recognizing what's right in front of you. And if you open the book, it's magic because it's full of pictures and full of little exercises about things you can do in the supermarket, things you can do when you're sitting watching television, things you can do when you're doing live broadcasts. And And it makes you appreciate what's going on round about you. It's there, but you don't always see it because you're so caught up in worrying about what's going to happen today or tomorrow that maybe you miss what's happening right in front of your face. So I hope that helped a little bit. I hope that adds to your thinking for today. Happy International Men's Day, whatever that is. And I hope to see you on one of my live events shortly. And it's funny because something else happened today. The system I used to send this out to the world is called Restream. And I was going to do this at 1 o'clock, but the system is really wobbly today, and none of the systems are working. So I can usually put things on the screen like pictures or quotes or emails or links. It's not working. A few years ago, do you know what? I would have gone, oh my God, and panicked, but I can't control it. Can't do anything about it. So I hope you found this interesting. I've just like, oh, if someone's watching. Hello, Jennifer. Absolutely look at other people's points of view, even men. Thanks very much. Develop empathy and get smarter. Some authors are brilliant psychologists and understand human nature. Absolutely. Your best example of self-help madness is Donald Trump, who reads a book called Positive Thinking, and eventually, yeah, I know all about that, and it's awful. Thank you very much, Jennifer. That was lovely. Yeah, and you take care too. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I hope to see you sometime soon. Have a great day. All the best.